Hey, what is up, everybody? And today we have us a Thor story. This story here, all right. So I watched the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer, and I saw like Gorr the God Butcher, which I honestly don't really care for how he looks. It looks kind of like weird-ish to me. Like he looks somewhat sort of similar to the comic version, but it kind of threw me off. But yeah, this is basically the story of Gorr the God Butcher. So this story here, it takes place in three time periods. You have young Thor who fought Gorr, the middle-aged Thor who fought Gorr, and the future Thor. The old man Thor. He fought Gorr the God Butcher. It's basically like the three times that he fought Gorr the God Butcher, basically. So it's gonna be like a bunch of jumping back and forth. So but if you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you enjoy the video at the end, leave a like, and let's go ahead and get into the video. We start off with like this introduction to Thor, talking about like it's basically showing off like how arrogant he is. It's the young Thor. He's very rash. He just like goes out and just like does stuff. So it's basically talking about how these people, they ended up praying to him, because there was this like this frost giant in Iceland, and he was just like going around just like messing stuff up. So these people from this village, they prayed to him. He came down. He took some men to the frost giant, and they all they ended up killing him. So while they're in the houses, they're just in there celebrating and stuff. There's this like scream, right? There's this scream, and this little girl walks up to him, and they're like, "Oh, there's this dead. We found a dead head, the head of like someone in the river." So they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, let's go see what's going on." So they go to look at the head, right? And they assume that he's like mortal. They assume that he's just like some mortal guy, but they end up like inspecting Thor. He's just like, oh, this is a guy. This guy's immortal. Like, what happened to this guy? Like, how is he like killed so easily? And they're like, okay, like who killed this thing? And they like inspect him some more, and they're like, they notice that like there's no like bite marks or anything on him like that. So they're like, okay, this guy was skilled. Like he did. This wasn't like some mindless beast. Like there was some like sort of skill here. Like there was some intent to kill this guy. So Thor, he's looking at it, he's like, okay, I've never seen nothing like this, but whoever did this has nothing on me. I'm Thor the God of Thunder. So so from there we actually pick up with the present day Thor. He's like, there's these people, right? There's people, these aliens. There's these aliens on this other planet, and they're like, okay, we haven't had rain in like forever. We need water. Like, so like, Thor, can you come and help us? So like Thor, he comes down, he helps these people, and they're like, and like later, they're like, oh, Thor, can you stay, man? Like we whatever we have, you can have, man. Like, thank you. They're trying to get him to stay, and talk to him and stuff. And he's like, oh no, I must go. And they're like, oh, you should stay, man. We can have ale. And he's like, oh no, I really must be good. Did you say ale? It's like okay, I could stay for a bit. And, like he's sitting there with the people, with the kids and stuff. He's telling them about like the times that he fought dragons and stuff like that. And about the elves and dwarves and stuff. And later that night, he ends up like like putting them to sleep. All of them go to sleep. And he's about to get ready to leave. And this elder, he's like, oh well, Thor, thank you, man. Like we would have prayed to other people, but we didn't have anyone to pray to. Thor's like, oh, what do you mean you don't have anyone to pray to? And he's just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, we don't have any gods. Those are just like myths and stuff. And Thor's just like, what do you mean myths? And he was like, oh, well, myths, like they don't exist. Those are just like things that people tell to their children, entertain them. Like those dragons and dwarves and elves you were talking about earlier. And he's like, those weren't fake. Those are not myths. That was true. Like I actually fought dragons, and I know elves and dwarves and stuff. And the dude's just like, okay, sorry. I mean, that all of that is true. Like how? Like I didn't believe in it. I thought it was just myths. And like Thor's like, okay, I feel disrespected. I'm out of here. So he goes up, and this guy was talking about a sky castle earlier. So he goes up, he finds the sky castle where the gods of these people were supposed to be. And he goes up there, and he doesn't see anything. He's walking around. He's like, okay, I come in peace, everybody. Where are y'all? And he's like looking around. He doesn't see anybody. Like there's nobody up there. He goes to the halls. He sees nothing, and he sees like this storage house, right? He's looking, and he sees this storage house, and it's like a big chain on it, like a big chain and lock. It's like locked up like pretty well, honestly. So he ends up like knocking the lock off, right? He knocks the chains off, and he like goes in, and like as soon as he opens the door, all you see are these like bodies, like these dead god bodies. Like they have been brutally murdered. Like some are missing limbs, some are missing heads. Like it was a massacre in here. These gods had no chance against whatever it was that came after them. So he's like looking around, and he's like sees like how skillfully these things were like taken out. Like they're like with precision. Like there aren't any like bite marks, so it's like, okay, yeah, this is definitely someone like, you know, who knew what they were doing basically. And like while he's doing that, there's like this little creature that's like forming behind him, and like as soon as it like forms all the way, it like goes to attack Thor, and you know Thor dodges out the way, and he's like okay, so if this thing is here, that means he was a guard dog, like basically, because you know he's just sitting there just like waiting for somebody to walk in there so he can go and attack him. So he's like, okay, this is a guard dog, like if this thing is here, that means Gorr the God Butcher is alive. If he is alive, nobody's safe, not even me. Like all gods are in danger, like, you know, like way more are gonna die here since Gorr is still here basically. So from there we actually get to not the present Thor, the future Thor. There we go. Like millennia in the future basically, you know, he's all old and stuff, you know, and he's like the king of Asgard. He's actually the only one in Asgard now. Like everyone else is dead. Like he's like literally the last god of Asgard alive basically. And like all he hears, you know, he's sitting on the throne, and all he hears is like the shuffling of those those little like black creatures from like the second time that he fought Gorr. He's like, all he hears is those outside is like shuffling, you know, they're just out there, like they basically swarmed Asgard. So he's like, okay, I'm not about to just sit here just like cooped up. I'm not afraid of y'all. He grabs the Odin sword, he grabs his hammer, and he goes out there. He's like, opens the door, and he's like, if I go out, I'm going out like a warrior, the way I want to go out. He takes it and he just goes in there and just like starts taking it to those creatures, man. He just like goes in there just like ready to wreck. All right, but that's the end of this story. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And I will see y'all on the next one. The next one is actually probably gonna be I'm probably gonna do the second video Thursday. No, tomorrow, Wednesday. And then Thursday is gonna be my reaction to the Thor trailer, which was actually not bad. I actually like the trailer. But yeah, I'll see y'all then.